Good dawn, noon, or dusk to all my fellow adventurers, creators, duelists, and gamers. Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while. I want this video to be the first of a series called Story Time with Phoenix Forge. And it's just going to be, a series that goes over the things happening in my life, things I just want to talk about with you guys, pieces of wisdom I've gained and want to share. And just interesting tidbits and pieces of news or anything like that. So I know you guys noticed that it's been like about 2 months since I've posted, and there's plenty of reasons as to why. A lot of stuff has happened for me in my life in the last couple of months. First off, I want to say back in July 3rd. Back on July 3rd is probably when the first thing started happening. So over here in Ohio, on that first week of July, it got super hot. My house doesn't have any screens on the windows, and the only screen door we have is on our back door, and we don't have any AC. Well, didn't have any AC at the time. And so we had the back door open, just airing the house out, trying to get it cool, because when it gets hot, the house gets humid, it gets muggy in here. And so we were just airing the house out, and I remember that night I was on the couch setting up my social medias, like my Instagram, my Twitter, and all that stuff. And so I was just really deep into that, and my cat ended up running outside, I guess, and I didn't hear him run out. I didn't even know he went out that night, actually. So later on that night, I end up closing the door. I go to sleep. I wake up, and that's when I figure out that he's missing, because in the morning, my two cats usually wake me up to feed them, and I noticed only one of them was around, and I kept calling him. He's not around. I go check all his hiding spots. He's not in them. And then I noticed him outside, and so I try catching him. I can't catch him. He's already a skittish cat. So then I try catching him during the day, because I want to catch him before 4th of July, before the night. Didn't catch him. So then he's just out there while all the fireworks are going off, and I know that probably just made it 10 times worse. And so I would see him like roaming around the couple of my neighbors' houses and their yards and whatnot, and I would try catching him over the next couple of weeks, and I'd fail every time. And so it's been a while since I've seen my cat now, and he's just been missing. But fast forward, a couple weeks from that time, when my cat got out, my car started breaking down, and so I had to replace the brake pads and brake lines on my car. I had to replace the tie rods on my car. I only got to do the outer tie rods. I still have to do the inner tie rods. Had to get like an oil change. My engine is going out, and just all like my car's just going crap. So then fast forward a little bit after that, and my wife was having pregnancy issues at the time, and that was a whole nother can of worms. But everything turned out fine for that. And mind you, I'm still working full time while all this is happening. So then I get to a point where I'm working, and I'm not even able to, I'm working full weeks, working full time, working 12-hour shifts, and I'm not even able to pay my rent fully, not able to pay my bills fully, and that just starts eating at me. It starts getting to me. So then we have the baby. The baby comes out. There's some complications during the pregnancy, but the baby comes out fine, thanks to God. My wife is fine, thanks to God, and I truly do thank Him for that. So that was one of the biggest ups. You know, everything was going great for us in terms of our pregnancy and our life intimately. Then you know, the baby's here now, and I'm back to working full time, and it's starting to begin to get too much for my wife. We had somebody helping us, but that was kind of also impacting us financially, so we really couldn't even like afford to have them help us. So then my wife, being the awesome lady that she is, she told me that she wanted me to, you know, leave my job and double down on the business. And I didn't want to at first, because I was more comfortable with having to, even though I was slaving away at the job, it was a guaranteed like check, you know. And during that time though, she wanted me to weigh out all the pros and cons and this and that, and it's like, you know, I wasn't able to record as much with all that going on. I wasn't able to stick to my recording plan like I wanted to, because I had a bunch of videos I wanted to record. Never got to though. And that's because most of my time was split between, not even split between, it was just going towards the job. Like all of my time went to the job. And on the days that I wasn't working, I was helping getting stuff done around the house, running errands, going to appointments, all types of things. So it was just starting to begin to become a lot, and I'm someone who values my time a lot, and the work I put in, you know. And so at the end of the day, I hated leaving, because I loved my manager, I loved my coworkers, I loved my job. It was awesome, but I ultimately made the decision to stop working there, and I'm doubling down on myself, on us. My wife wants to double down on us, and so do I. I no longer see the point in working for a company where you work all these hours and you don't even get to pay your bills, man. You don't get to be with your family. You don't get none of that. Like that's not life. I didn't get born into this world to just go to school, work, and then die. Like I'm not doing that. I'm going to live my dreams out, and I'm going to help others live their dreams out. I promise to God on everything. I promise to Yahweh on everything. That's why Phoenix Forge RPG is so special. It's not just a company that I'm trying to do. It really is a movement. It's a change of life. Sorry for the ads. I ain't paying for you to read yet. Well, I will eventually. But anyways, the whole point of it is that my wife believes in me, and I have, you know, my friends that believe in me, and that's all I need, because I already believe in myself. And ever since I've left the job, I already have seen some of my dreams start to come to fruition, and they're already starting to come true. We do this little newspaper gig, you know, just to get some money every day. Then if I need money for something, I go and drive for it. The point is that when I need money, it's dependent on me to go make it, instead of just having to go to a job when I don't feel like it, or go to a place that I don't want to be at. Not saying that my job was that, but there, you know, you have those days, and it's not even those days. It's just the idea of the system, how it works, all of it. If you're somebody who values your time, and you know that you are meant for something bigger or have bigger plans in this life, you can't go about a regular day without thinking how much time you're wasting doing something like that. And that's what was happening. And so I made the choice to just I'm gonna live for me and my family, and make sure that we're good in on our terms, you know, instead of depending on this broken system that don't work. And at the end of the day, the American dream is to make your way, make your empire, and this and that. So I'm gonna do that at the end of the day. And I really think all of you watching this video should do that too. If you have a business, if you have an idea, if you have something, a hobby, anything, do what makes you happy. Don't waste your life. Don't waste your life working for a company that does not give any care about you at all. When you leave your job, or you're sick or something, or you call off, or like, there's always somebody to replace you. And the people who are stuck at jobs, and it's like you're the only person there running the shop, you definitely need to leave then. Because I guarantee you're not being fairly compensated for how much work and time you're putting in. So start to live for yourself, because I guarantee you the wealth that you'll generate is more than any wealth that you'll have spent trying to work for at a job. I have always wanted to go to an anime con, a comic con, a gaming con, any con. I haven't done nothing for real in my life. Nothing. And already, since I've left my job and been, focused on my business, first off, I've been able to work on my books more than anything. I love how much time I have to work on my books. I honestly do. And I'm working on my schedule, on my time. And I feel great about it every time, every day. Let's see, I get to be around my family and my daughters all the time. I now, and then also, my wife isn't doing this stuff alone, and I'm spending 12 hours at work, and she's got to deal with all, like, both of the kids by herself. Like, that's hard. And so I'm able to help around the house, so that makes it easier for her. And so now she's picking up different things she want to do, picking up hobbies and writing down, starting to focus and write down on the ideas on what she wants to do with her business. And I love that. I love it. Also, we have already gone to, we went to a festival yesterday. That was fun. We were going to go to a festival today, but it's raining and whatnot. We don't want to have the babies out there while it's raining. And so we've ultimately, we're happier every day. I could tell you that off rip. We're ultimately happier every day, and we're also being able to do things that we always want to do. Because before, we would always be looking at these events like, oh, I want to go to that, I want to do that, I want to do that. My wife always wanted to go to the Asian Lantern Festival, and for the last 3 years, we literally couldn't go because of my work schedule and just how our schedule was and how funds was and this and that. And it's like, dude, the second we did that, now we can go to those festivals. Now we can do all of that stuff. I'm going to a con in September, and we have the Cleveland Classic Gaming Con. It's not no AAA gaming con or whatever, but it's gonna be something awesome. It's gonna have hundreds of arcades that you can play for free, and the old school consoles. The Atari, the Sega, the PlayStation, the Nintendo and stuff. That's gonna be awesome. I get to meet new people and take pictures, record videos, and even network with my business. I'm getting my wife is so awesome. She got t-shirts printed with my business logo on them. So when we go to the con, we could walk around with the logo on our shirt, and we could network. And I love her for that. And I really hope y'all understand that it's not just me like bragging or anything. I want you to understand that the second I made this shift to begin to live my life and not the life that the system has intended for me, I've ultimately already become happier and wealthier. And when I say wealthy, wealth isn't just financial. Wealth is spiritual, it's mental, it's physical. It's financial. And I have become wealthy. And I want you to become wealthy. I want you to stop wasting your time living a life that is not yours. You have been feeling this for too long. You know that. We know that. The country knows it. The world knows it. It's time to stop doing it. Do what makes you happy. Don't don't think this is like a message of chaos either, because I don't believe that. I do things out of the 9 fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. That is what brings worthiness, wealth, and success. Okay? When you are, when you feel, when you do, when you love, when you speak, when you see and understand all of those things, that's when worthiness, wealth, and success comes to you. I promise to God on everything. So I want y'all to know that even though all these horrible things were going on in the last 2 months, I have been happier than ever. I promise you. I have been happier than ever. Every time something bad happens, I instantly thank God, because I know like something good is on the way. Instantly. And I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. And it's happened every single time. And like I had like when I told you I was just sick of it. I got to a point where I was in my living room screaming at God. I was screaming at God, because I literally, it was at my wit's end, wondering, why do bad things consistently happen to good people? Why does evil run amok, like, unchecked? Like, I wasn't understanding it anymore. And ironically, you know, I'm mad. I'm walking around the house, pumping around. I come to my office, and then I get the urge. I'm literally screaming. I'm like, God, I need you to talk to me. I need you to talk to me. I need you to talk to me right now. Because like my faith is dwindling. Like I need you to say something, because I don't know what to do. I'm not feeling it. It's not it. You know, it's up. And I came here. I sat down on my chair, and I looked at my Bible. It's my dad's Bible. It's a student Bible. And it was like, you want to talk? I just got this urge in my head. It was like, you want to talk, right? I'm right here. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I grabbed the Bible. I'm like, all right, so what? I'm going to just flip the pages open, and you're just going to magically tell me everything I need to hear, right? Because that's what's going to happen, right? I opened the Bible. I opened the Bible, and instantly I start singing like bold in bold letters, like, you don't understand. Like, why does this happen? And I flip open to the book of Job. And if any of you guys know about the book of Job, you know exactly where that's going. And those of you who don't, I highly recommend that you read the book of Job. If you want to know why good things or bad things happen to good people, read the book of Job. You'll definitely understand why. So I begin to read the book of Job, and I see that, you know, in the Old Testament, Job was essentially a metaphor for Jesus in the time. He was the most unrighteous man on the world. He had not sinned, and he was seen completely righteous in the eyes of God. And so then all these,
and we need cybersecurity professionals to protect us.
So then the fallen one and his angels had came to God, betting him that basically Job was only faithful to God because he had everything he needed and wanted. And so they ended up betting him that if you take away, you know, all his land and his kids, his wife, and all of this, that, you know, he'll surely he'll curse God. And so that God allowed them to do that, but he said, don't you lay no finger on him, you will not injure him. So they did those things, and so they caused a band of raiders to come and pillage his place and kill his family and all types of horrible things, right? And so while and his house burned down and everything, and so Job begins crying in the middle of the in the middle of the road in front of his house, and he's naked. He's just crying and crying and crying, like why would these things happen? And then he begins to praise God. And so they go back to the fallen one goes back to the Lord, and he begins to tell him, well, surely he only praises you, he's only faithful to you because no harm has come to him. And so they bet him that blah blah, that if they harm him, he'll curse God. And the Lord allows them to do that, but he says that you will not take his life. Okay? And so he allows that to happen, and they then cast lesions to grow on his body and whatnot. And so then Job gets super depressed and starts going about basically he starts going about cursing the day that he was born, and hating to be alive, asking God to just want to kill him. And he just goes on for about a good 10 to 15 pages, literally depressed. He's done. It's up. Literally was in the position that most people today are in. What happened? Why? And what is life even? And his friends come and they try to talk him out of it and this and that, because he's seen as the most righteous person. Surely this means you've sinned. And they all had their different reasons and blah blah blah. And so he just wasn't feeling none of it. And so at the end of it, he starts screaming for God to come and tell him why he would do these things. Mind you, he hasn't cursed God at all. And so at this time, God comes out of God creates a storm, and his face apparates in the storm and calls to he goes and yells, and he was like, who is the accuser? Asking who the accuser is, asking all the questions and whatnot. And Job stands up, it's me. It's and the Lord goes, all right, now I will ask you questions, and I want you to answer them like a man, and this and that. And so he starts asking them these questions, and he's telling them why, where were you in the beginning of the creation of the earth? And when was it that you made, the Pleiades, and the different star systems and stuff, and the different constellations? He goes in on him. He literally goes in on him, he was are you surely you have the right hand of God, right? And tells him the day that you create an ostrich or God pretty much grills this dude. And tells him you saying, and Job goes, I apologize, there are things surely I spoke on that I don't understand. And the Lord tells him exactly that, and there are things that happen that you don't understand. But he tells him that the things that happened to him were a test of his faith, and that he passed. And so the Lord ends up blessing him with a multitude of what he previously had. And so he ends up having more land, more animals. He ends up getting remarried and has more kids, and all these things. And because at the end of it, he never cursed God. And I ultimately learned that my ignorance was fueling my anger, and my lack of faith was fueling my ignorance. And so I really think at the end of the day, a lot of people should just be more faithful and more thankful for the things that happen to them, good or bad. A lot of people only thank God when good things happen to them. And you got to understand that when bad things happen to you, he is also working, because not the worst thing happened to you. So always be thankful even when something bad happens. And I know that sounds crazy to most people, but once you shift your mind, your perspective to being thankful and understanding and faithful, you'll instantly begin to start seeing the glass was always half full, never half empty. And I ended up getting on my knees and you know, praying to God and apologizing in the same words that Job said, you know, because I was ignorant at that time. But I got my answers, and my faith was restored and doubled at that point. And I really think that ever since that moment, I've just been really in tune with myself, with the Lord, and with my wife, with my life, and everything happening around me. And I just want to spread this message to those who are in the dark, those who feel like they've been putting in the work and all these bad things happen to them, and you keep trying, you've been a good person, you do all these things, and terrible things happen to you. You got to understand it's a multiple variables that add to those things. But ultimately, the one thing that defeats all of those things is faithfulness and thankfulness to God, and living through the 9 fruits of the Spirit. We could go through another video and talk about all the different things that causes a person to have bad things happen to them. But ultimately, I'll just skip all that and give you the answer. Just have faith. Be thankful. Live through the 9 fruits of the Spirit, and you will be fine. You will be wealthy. You will be worthy. You are worthy. You will be wealthy, and you will be successful. Simple as that. Love, joy, and peace to everybody watching this video. Thank you, Yahweh, for allowing me to spread this message. Peace, y'all.